welcome back to the channel. Rob's Garden. Starting to heat up here in Zone 9B, Northern California. Things are starting to flower and go to seed. So it's time to get the cold crops out and start getting the warm crops in rotation. I'm going to rip out this whole bed right here. I'll top it off, show you how to make some soil, get that soil level back high. We'll feed it, fertilize it, plant a few things, and start growing. So if that sounds like something you like, keep on watching. So one of the first signs you know it's time to get your cold crops out is when your things start to go to flower. It'll start to shoot up a long stalk. This is cilantro right here. You can see how tall it is. It's not supposed to be that tall. So when it starts to warm up, it'll shoot a long stalk up. It'll start shooting some flowers off the top. Those flowers will then turn into seeds and you can save them. So I'm going to save this cilantro. This is just in a container right here. I tend to just do the seed saving with containers so I'm not leaving stuff in the garden bed too long. So this will give us plenty of coriander seeds to plant for fall and next year, probably for a couple years. So that's good to have right there. So I'm going to start with these sweet peas right here. Once they start to yellow like that, you can stop watering them. It's not because you're over watering. If you got a nice harvest out of these, there's nothing you could do about this. This is just gonna die back and you'll just be wasting water. But I let a few of these go to seed right here, get nice and big, save some seeds. So I'm gonna come through here, rip a bunch of these pods off that I'm gonna save, harvest the ones that are edible, and I'll start ripping all this down. So this is what I harvested. You want to look for the ones that are nice and plump, where you can feel the seeds through there. Like this is a good one to save, and maybe something like this wouldn't be. Good to eat, but see how you can kind of see the seeds through the peas? I'll just leave them in here. Like that one's starting to bust open. I'll just leave them in here though. Leave them in the pods until they dry. I'll just put these in the shed, just in a nice dark cool spot. They'll dry up and be ready to save. I'm going to snack on these, then I'll get to tearing all this down. I'm just going to harvest this head of lettuce right here. This is a Lola Rosa, still good. I usually just do like cut and come again, where I just harvest the outside leaf and let it grow, but when it's at the end of the season, just chop the whole head off and enjoy. This is a beautiful variety right here. Tends to not bolt as easy neither as green varieties of lettuce, so try this one, Lola Rosa from Baker Creek. So I'm just gonna have this bucket with me. Just gonna go through here, take all the stuff that's not good, compost it, harvest all the stuff, just some green onions, some regular onions, and just gonna empty this out and I'll get back with you. Got a lot of green onions right here I didn't use. I might replant some of these. Onions are pretty resilient in the new garden. Well, after I put all the soil in, I can just kind of put this in there or separate them a little bit. So I'll plant a few of those. I'll use a few of those. I'll give a few away. I'll do whatever I want to do with them. So these are real easy to grow. These are bulbing onions. I'll probably just use this. These probably still need a few more months to get all the way up to size. But they're delicious just like this too. This right here is an Asian broccoli. beautiful flowers. Went to seed. I kind of hate ripping these out just because I like the flowers, but oh well, gotta get some food in here. You can see this right here. This was starting to flower or starting to bolt. You see it's starting to get long. It's probably not bitter yet. Yeah, this is still good right here. So I'm gonna save this. This is the Merlot variety. See, this is a little lettuce thing right here. I might save this since this is growing good right here. This was kind of just a volunteer. I'm gonna dig this up and I'll put this back in the garden after I fill it up. I'll show you how I do that real quick. All right, so when you want to dig something up out of the garden, I do this a lot, by the way. I'll just kind of see something growing and be like, oh, it doesn't look good there, or it's too big. I'll dig it up. Just got a little bit of soil. I didn't even fill it up because I'm gonna plant it pretty quick. But you just want to go around it and just get a nice amount of the root ball. You don't got to get all of it. Just get a nice little chunk. And usually if I was gonna like leave it in this container for a while, I would get more. I didn't even need to put soil in there actually. I thought it was gonna be a smaller root ball. But I'm just gonna leave this in there for now, put this in some water while I'm doing this, and then we'll get back to that later. So I use grass clippings as mulch. I'm just gonna remove all these grass clippings before I start taking everything else down and getting it ready, because I'm gonna reuse this. So you can see this is a bamboo. This is the bamboo stick I had holding the trellis up. It was stuck in the dirt and you see it rotted. So recently I came up with a little idea to prevent that from happening. I'll show you about that in a little bit. So you can see right here, these are tomatoes. Tomatoes are worm loving crops. So I put these in about maybe like 2.5 weeks ago. I got three tomatoes right there. They were pretty small when I put them in. So that was just a way for me to get a jump start, just to get them in the ground while I was still enjoying all the cold crops. Then I pulled everything out. Now I got those already jump started. Those are gonna get buried a little bit. Tomatoes are fine with the stems being buried. In fact, when I put those in the ground, I buried it as deep as I can go. It was probably about maybe a 8 to 10 inch transplant, and I probably buried like 6 inches. There was probably about 3 inches sticking out above the soil. So that's just a little idea right there to get a head start. These are pretty close, but I'll show you how I'll be doing that just to maximize your space in your raised bed. So you can see in the corner how much it's settled right there. Raised beds tend to do that. Planters, anything tends to do that actually. So that's why every year you got to top it off, get it ready for another growing season. So I'll show you what I'm going to be putting in here right now. I'll kind of make something up, use some store-bought products and kind of some stuff I got around the house. So let's go. So like whenever I'm going to fill up something that's pretty big, whether it's a big container, a wine barrel, some kind of raised bed, I'll kind of get a little bit of this is like used potting soil I had just kind of emptied some pots around that I wasn't using. I kind of start off with that. I'm going to add some peat moss. That's probably about 4 or 5 gallons. Probably fill a bucket up of, and you want to wet that before you start mixing it in with everything. So we got that in there. We got that a little wet. Doesn't got to be dripping wet. Just want to get it a little wet so it makes it easier for it to absorb water. You can get in there and get a little dirty. So this is nice and mixed up. Now we gotta feed it a little. When I buy stuff at the store, this is just some chicken manure. I kind of let it sit for a couple months. I never use it immediately. I bought this like 2 months ago, just to make sure that it's all the way broken down, and it's not gonna burn your plants or nothing like that. So that's gonna feed it a little bit right there. So we got something to hold moisture. We got something to feed it. We got a little perlite for drainage, and the vermiculite holds a little moisture too, so that's good. But as you can see, it doesn't have that much vermiculite and perlite in there, so I add a little bit of that. This is a new product I wanted to try. It's perlite, but it's 50% vermiculite and 50% perlite. So I've never seen nothing like this. Should work excellent. I actually never see vermiculite in my area. It's always perlite. So I'm gonna add maybe like a gallon of this. That was probably a little more than a gallon. Like that was maybe four quarts, 4 dry quarts. I don't know how much is in a gallon actually. How many quarts? How many quarts in a gallon? So you can see the white stuff. That's excellent. That's what you see in potting mix. This is an excellent potting mix right here. That's how you can save a lot of money by just making your own. That probably costs 1, 2, 3, 4. That's probably like $7 to make that. And I'll fertilize the holes. I'll probably put a little compost in there and some Dr. Earth. So I always fertilize the hole really good. So we got that. Now it's time to put this in there. We'll continue the process and I'll show you the next step. Alright, so I got all this soil in. I'm going to smooth it out a little bit. Get it all to the edges. This is some pretty good soil right here. Just made for pennies on the dollar. Looks really good. Alright, I got the soil on there, evened it all out. Now I'm going to put a bag of Happy Frog on top. I like to put the good soil on top. That way all the nutrients could flush down into the roots. If we put all the good soil on the bottom, it's just going to water it out in containers. So that's why I don't throw a bunch of fertilizer in the seed starting mix that we did, or the soil mix that we just did. I feel like if I would have just threw a bunch of fertilizer in there, it would kind of waste majority of it. So I'm going to put a bag on here, maybe 2. I just want to get the level up a little higher. All right, so I ended up putting about maybe a bag and like a third of a bag of potting soil, the Happy Frog. So I like to leave a little bit on top, get a nice thick layer of mulch on there. I'm gonna wet this in first, let it get saturated before I start planting in it. And I'm gonna put the trellis back up, and I'll show you how I set that trellis up in a little bit. All right, so to set up the trellis, I put these PVC little pipes here. I just drilled a hole so I could put the screw pin to the raised bed. So these are able to just slip in and out of here. Gives it a nice good support. Allows me to take this trellis in and out easier. Before I would just stick them in the dirt, and it'll kind of lean over a little bit and not be that strong. So I like this way a lot better. All right, so this is the trellis I use. This is just like this was on the bottom of an old bunk bed. I got 2 of these, so I just put it there evenly. You just use these big zip ties to zip tie it to the bamboo. Just like that. I'll cut these off. I'm gonna put the other one on top, just like it. I'll probably actually do that later. Wait till those get a little bigger, then I'll put that top one up. All right, so I'm gonna organize it and see where I want to put stuff. This is a whole tray of some flowers, some basil, and got some mint there. Got some cucumbers, a few peppers. I might put a couple of these peppers in there, let a few of the other ones get a little bigger first. And I might put this squash somewhere. This is a white scallop squash, Baker Creek. Got some beets and some more basil. So I'm just gonna load this up. I'll show you how much space or how little space you need to plant a bunch of stuff. So these are some Viet Alpha cucumbers right here. I like these. You can grow these kind of close. I put 2 in each one. 2 to 3 you can get away with. So I'm probably gonna dig a little trench right here and just put like maybe 4 of them right there. So I'll show you how I do that. Also, just a little tip, I also found that it seems like it's better, instead of just planting it right here real close to the wood where a lot of the water and nutrients could drain out, give it a little more space. So I'm just going to make 4 little spots right here, just like that. Alright, so I'm just going to throw a handful of this each one. I don't really measure stuff. I just go. Just kind of mix that in a little bit. Don, you want to do some helping? Sure. All right, so once that's in, my son's gonna come help Adonis. You can go to the other side and plant one of those if you want some. So I'm just going to bury it. You don't want to bury these too deep. Kind of just want to keep it at soil level. So I'm just going to put it in there, give it a little push. I like to keep a little pocket around there so when you water, the water can just kind of settle in there. You want to do one, son? Yeah. You got to say hi to the camera, to the people. Hi. All right. There's one. Put it in there straight. Don't grab it by the stem though. Yeah, and then just put this one on. Yeah, you know how to do that? That's good, dude. You want to do this one too? So these are going to climb up here, don't know now. These are cucumbers.
You climb the pea?
Yeah, you know how the peas were?
Yeah.
This is what I was telling them too. I like to put like a little bowl. Look, Donna. See how I'm putting like a little bowl around? So when I water, the water can go in there. Right? So I'll just pop these out. These trays are awesome, by the way. Epic Gardening always gets an excellent root ball. So these basils, I'm just gonna remember these cucumbers also are gonna be out of the way, so I can kind of save a lot of space by growing vertically. Like that, I'll tuck one there. Basil is also one that I grow multiple in, 3 to 4. Put it in one. Good to go. Starting to sprinkle a little. This weather's been kind of crazy in California. It was just like 96 degrees the other day. Now it's like 58 and raining. But I know next week, the nights are still above 50 or in the 50s, so we're good with that. So that's going to grow back right here, and I'm going to put a zinnia right here. Just like this. So satisfying growing your own transplants from seed. Save so much money. Just like that. Put one here. Beautiful root ball. Just pop it in. That easy. I'll water all this in at the end. So we got that right there. And in the meantime, I'm gonna just squeeze some beets in between. These are the golden beets. Baker Creek. Do module sowing. Beets can grow close together, 4 or 5 in a clump like this, and just plant it. As they grow, you'll just harvest them as they get bigger. Harvest the biggest one and let the smaller ones continue to grow. So I'm just going to tuck some of these along the back. These won't take too long. Alright, so I'm also going to put not a bunch, I'm going to put a couple sunflowers back here. I could put one right here. These don't get too big. These are like 3 to 4 feet. They get a couple heads on each one. Just to throw some more color in here. Let's get that in there, just like that. That one's good to go. I'll put another one over here. So I don't really fertilize like leafy greens, leafy vegetables, basil, flowers. I'm not putting fertilizer in there. I just kind of let whatever's in the soil feed it. I will feed it with fish emulsion though, as I'm fertilizing the other plants. I just want the veggies to grow. Alright, let's go over there and start filling that area. Alright, so I'm going to tuck this white scallop squash right here in the corner. Kind of let it just kind of flow over a little bit if it needs to. I like to pick my baby squash. I like to pick my squash when they're baby. I don't know, they just taste good like that. Very small. I never tried this kind of squash before, but I hear great things about it. These grow really quick from seed. I do grow a lot of my squash vertically, but I'm gonna let this just go over. If I grow it vertically here, it's gonna start shading some of this stuff out. So that's some of the things you gotta think of when you're planting your garden. Put this tag in there just so I know. I'm gonna put this is a orange Hawaiian marigold. Get a little more color pop going on right here. Just kind of have it on the edge. That would look good right there. What else we got going on? And this was the lettuce I took out, so kind of want to give this a little bit of shade. This side of the bed gets a lot more shade, and maybe I can kind of tuck it behind this tomato just to give it a little more shade. So we'll try that out. Just like that. So just gonna water these in. Some fish emulsion, like maybe like 3 tablespoons in there. Shake it well. This is organic, so you're not gonna burn nothing with this. High nitrogen. Give it a little swoosh. And feed. The more stuff that touches the ground, the higher chance it can get eaten and catch diseases. Looks like there's already something on this. A lot of your damage, a lot of your insects will be under the leaves, so always check that out. Pruning plants back, cutting stuff off. I love doing that. A lot of people don't like doing it, but I know it's good for the plant. So do that and watch your plant grow. All right, so the idea with this is I'm putting a lot of the vegetables that grow quicker and taller in right now in the back. Those will kind of grow and get tall. Then I can fill the rest of this in with more vegetables that kind of grow slower, like peppers. I'm probably gonna fill the rest of it up with peppers and a bunch of onions right here. Spring onions, bunching onions, green, whatever you want to call them. So that's with that. Like you can grow a lot of stuff in this little area right here. Save a lot of money by growing your own transplant, starting from seed. You'll have a lot of fun doing it. So I might take a couple things out of some containers that I'm going to be using soon and kind of tuck them throughout here. Maybe have some chives coming over, and I'll be doing follow-up videos showing you guys what to do. So I'm just going to put the mulch back down here. Actually, another tip: when you got some baby seedlings in, specifically those little basils, these cucumbers, and the beets, some pincher bugs and some kill bugs will come and kind of take those down overnight. So they like to go through the mulch. They don't like to be exposed to light. So I'm gonna wait on the mulch. Just keep this nice and watered. It's gonna be a little overcast the next few days, so that'll help out, not letting everything dry up so bad. Then in a couple of days, I'll put all those grass clippings down that I removed. This bed will be ready to go, ready to grow all summer. So like, comment, subscribe. If you want to see more of this, remember I'm in Zone 9B, Northern California, and we love to grow.